how many candidates are interviewing for this job? So why do you think this is a bad question? How many candidates are interviewing for this job? Well, simply because this is not really your business, right? This is the company's business. Hey guys, in today's video, I'll be talking about the job interview ending mistakes, or the things that you should never be saying or asking at the end of a job interview. So you've had a job interview with the hiring manager and you've had a chance to go over the job description and how your skill set and your background matches the job perfectly. But now it's the end of the interview and you're wrapping up and you want to sound powerful, you want to sound confident. And you want to avoid sounding needy or desperate for the job, because although the hiring manager wants to know that you want the job, they don't want to sense any desperation, because when they sense desperation, it just means that you're not confident in your skill set and that you're a perfect match for the job. So today's video is focused on the things that you should never mention or ask at the end of a job interview, as well as the tools and the tips that will make you sound powerful, that will make you sound confident. So this is the topic of this video, so stick around. Welcome to another video, guys. If you're new here, my name is Bill Hanna and I'm the financial controller. I've been in the finance game for the last 15 years. I started my career at PricewaterhouseCoopers and then I transitioned out to work in private industry as a financial analyst, and then a corporate accounting manager, and then a corporate controller, which is what I do today, hence the name of the channel. And I'm also a licensed CPA in the great state of New York. And this channel is all about giving you the summary of my experience over the last 15 years so that you can apply it toward your own career in finance. So if you're in finance or if you own a business and you want to hear more about financial topics, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. All right, so a quick overview of this video so you know what to expect. So first we'll go over the things that you should never be saying in a job interview. So I'll give you a couple of examples of the things that you should not be saying. And then I'm gonna give you examples instead of things that you could say that will make you sound powerful and confident. And then we'll go over things you should never ask, or questions that are forbidden. We call them garbage questions. You should never be asking these questions at the end of a job interview. And instead, I'm gonna give you an example of a good question that you can say that will give you a chance to sound powerful and confident. And then at the end of the video, I'm gonna give you the mindset or the theme. So the way that you should be thinking at the end of a job interview, instead of remembering point by point the things that I'm talking about today, how you should be thinking in the mindset so that you can you come across as powerful and confident, because we all heard the saying, give a man a fish, you'll feed him for a day, but teach a man how to fish, you'll feed him for an entire lifetime. So this is just a quick overview of today's video. All right, let's begin with the things that you should never be saying at the end of a job interview. And I'm gonna give you a couple of examples from actual interviews that I've conducted as a hiring manager. So one example that I've heard is one candidate said, I just really wanna let you know that I want this job and I hope that you pick me. So even though this is nice, I really want the candidate to want the job. However, this sounded a little bit desperate. So you never want to sound desperate or really needing the job. You want to make this more about the company and about the job and not about you. So I know that you want the job. That's why you're here. That's why you're interviewing. I know that you want the job. But you want to make this about the company, so don't focus too much on yourself. Don't sound desperate. You want to sound more like other companies want you, that you are sought after by everyone else. Sounding desperate and sounding that you need the job is not good and just doesn't show confidence, right? You want to show that you're confident in yourself and your abilities. The other thing that I've said a candidate say once was, the commute to this job will be great, so I really want this job because the commute will be awesome. And that might very well be the case. If the commute is awesome, good for you, that's great that the commute is awesome. However, it's not a talking point. Don't bring this up. This is something that you can discuss with someone at home, a colleague. The commute for the job you're interviewing for is great, very good, but bringing this up is just trivial, right? The interviewer or the hiring manager is looking for things of substance about you, about your personality, your abilities. So bringing up the commute is just not a great idea. So instead, here are some of the things that you could be saying instead. A great example of what you should be saying at the end of a job interview that will make you sound confident and powerful, and to wrap it all up and bring it all together, you could be saying something like this. I just want to say that my background and skill set matches the job perfectly, and that I bring a high level of energy and adaptability to this job that will help me add value from day one. So you see how this, what you just said now, will make you sound much more confident and powerful, and make you sound less desperate. You don't want to sound desperate, you want to sound confident and powerful. And also, it made it about the company and about the role and bringing value to this role, right? More than just focusing on yourself, you're focused on the company and the role. So this will sound much more confident and powerful. So we don't want to mention things like, I really want this job, I hope you pick me, talking about commute and talking about things that are trivial. You really want to focus on the job and what it needs and how your skill set will complement and be a perfect match for this job.
If you or anyone you know is preparing for a job interview in accounting, be sure to download my accounting interview checklist. It's 100% free and an amazing summary of the most common accounting interview questions. I'll leave a link in the description below.
Okay, now we'll talk about questions you should never be asking at the end of a job interview. So some examples of these questions are, when are you gonna get back to me? So again, it's the same idea. This sounds desperate. You don't want to sound desperate. So asking, when are you going to get back to me? It's not a good question to ask at the end of a job interview. Similarly, when can I expect to hear back from you? This is not a question you should be asking at a job interview. This could be a follow-up in an email, but you don't want to wrap up an interview by asking this question. It just makes you sound weak when you are sounding like you can't wait to hear back from them. So this is not something you should be asking at the end of a job interview. Also, another example, how many candidates are interviewing for this job? So why do you think this is a bad question? How many candidates are interviewing for this job? Well, simply because this is not really your business, right? This is the company's business, right? So what this question can do, if you ask about how many candidates are interviewing for this job, is that you could put the interviewer in an awkward spot, right? This could be a confidential, a piece of information that's confidential or strategic that you don't want to share with the candidate. So if you're asking how many candidates are interviewing, you're asking this question, you are putting them in a bad spot, and that will give them a bad feeling about you, and in turn, this is just not going to play well for you. So this is not a good question to be asking. Another example of a bad question is asking about money at the end of a job interview. So the question of salary, usually nowadays, companies advertise the salary up front. So most of the time, you'll know the salary range before you even interview for the job. But if you don't know that salary range up front, I want you to avoid asking questions about money in the phone screen. So don't ask any money questions in the initial phone screening, right? And in the initial in-person interview, also avoid asking about money. The question of money should come in the final round of interviewing, when you've already established to the company that you are a perfect fit for the job, they love you, they want you, then you can talk about the money. And if what you hear from them is lower than what you expected, then you could say that you have expected a higher range of salary to match what your skill set is worth. And if they want you and if they love you, they'll stretch the budget to come and meet you in your higher range, right? So leave the money question toward the end or the final round of the interview, not at the initial phone screen or the first in-person, rather leave it to the final round. So to summarize, the bad questions are, when are you going to get back to me? When can I expect to hear back from you? How many candidates are interviewing for this job? And how much does this job pay? The money question should be at the final round of the interviewing. So instead of asking these terrible questions that can potentially destroy the entire job interview and leave the interviewer with a sour and a bad taste in the mouth from these questions, here's a good example of a question that you could be asking. You could say something like, hey, what are the things that, if accomplished in the first 6 months of the job, would add the most value to the organization? So this question is great because it gets the interviewer to talk about the things that are strategic, that are needed for this job, and then it gives you an opportunity after they're done talking to then bring in some of your skill set. Talk about some of the things that you know and you've done in the past that are equal to the things that they're trying to accomplish, right? So talk to these goals of the company with your skill set and your knowledge and the things that you can bring to the table. So this is a great question because it first lets the interviewer know that you're focused on the company and the role, and it also gives you a chance to then respond to this by saying, bringing in some of your skills, some of your knowledge to match what will make this role successful? So this is a good example of a good question you could be asking at the end of a job interview. All right, so as I promised, I'm going to give you the mindset or how you should be thinking in any job interview. So if you forget all of the things that we talked about today, forget about all of the questions and the things, the bad questions and the bad things that we said you should never be saying in a job interview. Here's the mindset. Just remember this mindset when you enter any job interview. So first, you want to show confidence, right, and power. So you don't want to sound desperate. You don't want to sound that you need the job, right? The interviewer already knows that you want the job. That's why you're here, right? So you don't want to be saying that. You want to sound confident in your abilities to the point where there are maybe 10 other companies that are seeking you, right? You want to sound that you are sought after by other companies. Don't say that, but just sound you're confident. Show that you're powerful, right? It's similar to dating, right? When a girl knows that there are so many other girls are wanting you and want to date you, then all of a sudden that will change the way they look at you, right? So you want to show that you're confident. You want to show that you are powerful. The second thing with the mindset here is that you should be going into the job interview thinking about the role and the company and not about you. So the reason why this interviewer is sitting there is because they want to fill a position, a role with the company. And this is not necessarily about you, right? So this is about the role itself. So you should be focused on the job description, what the job needs, and how your skill set and background, what it will bring to the table and make you successful at this role. So that's why you should steer away from saying things that you really want this job, or that you hope that they pick you and all these things. This is not about you. This is about the company. So focus on the job description. Focus on how your knowledge of QuickBooks will match what they need in terms of having somebody that is an expert in QuickBooks. Focus on your experience with closing the months if you're going in with like a higher level position like an accounting manager or so. So focus on how your skills will make you successful in the job, and focus on the job and the company and its goals, right? And that will show that you care. When you show that you care about the company, then the interviewer will feel that you're someone that they want to work with and someone they want to hire. And then also finally with the mindset is the questions about money. So think about it this way. If you are the interviewer, if you are the hiring manager, and then you get someone who sits in front of you for the first time and for an interview, and they ask you about the money, is this the thing that you want to hear, or do you want to discuss money in the first meeting? This just leaves a bad taste in the mouth. It's not the thing that you want to be talking about. So again, with the money, leave the money till the final round. Don't bring up the money in the phone screen. Don't bring up the money in the first in-person. Even if that in-person is an actual like a video, like a Zoom interview, don't bring up that question. Leave it till the final round when you've established that you are in the narrow list or the short list of candidates that they want to hire. Then maybe then you can ask about the money. And if they really want you, they'll come up and meet you at what you're asking. So the money question should be left till the end. So again, to summarize, the mindset is you want to show power and confidence in your abilities, right? You never want to show desperation. When are you going to get back to me? When can I expect to hear back from you? I really want this job. You want to sound powerful and confident in your abilities. And if not this job, there are just so many other jobs out there, right? So you want to sound that you're confident and there are so many other companies that would love to hire you, right? Don't say that, but it's just come across this way. So this is the mindset. The second thing in the mindset is that you want to make this about the company and not about you. Make it about the role. Talk to the actual job description. Talk to how this to be successful in this role, you've done X, Y, Z in the past that will help you be awesome and crush this role here. And then finally, with the money, make the money a question for the final round of interviewing. Not for the phone screen, not for the first in-person, but for the final round when you've established that the company wants to hire you. All right, go out there and crush that job interview. And if you have any questions, leave it in the comment section below. I will address it. And if you like this video, if you added value to you, go ahead and hit that like button. And if you haven't subscribed, subscribe down below, and I'll see you in the next video.